Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring the good news to the poor. He has sent me to comfort the brokenhearted and to proclaim that the captives will be released and the prisoners will be freed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God.
What happened with Pharaoh in a single day? In a single day, and I'm going to keep repeating that because in a single day, I'm actually going to read Revelation 18, verse 8. Her, meaning the harlot, plagues will come in a what? Single day. The kings of the earth will weep and wail. People, we're about to see that.
It's time for us to be the light in the world that God always intended us to be, to bring more people into the body of Christ, because that is the heart of God. That is the whole point of all these prophecies, is to really get God's people paying attention to what God is saying and not paying attention to what's going on in the world, because he says things are not always as they seem to be.
The final chess move that God's about to do on these people is a secret, because no one is supposed to know how this is supposed to finally come down the pipeline.
Right.
Because God's setting up, like you said, he's playing chess, they're playing checkers, but he's setting up all the pieces he works on a higher plane than anybody does. And so because he's setting up all the pieces right now, and he's coming in for checkmate, he's about to destroy these people. And then we're going to see Revelation 18, verse 8 be fulfilled, and the kings of the earth will weep and howl, and this will all go down in a single day. But I don't know if you ever heard about the Azusa Street revival.
Oh, yes, I have. I love hearing about Azusa Street.
Okay, so check this out. Azusa Street revivals was the most intense Pentecostal movement that has ever hit the world since the apostles. The leader of this was William Seymour, and this is what his prophetic word was. In 100 years, God will pour out his spirit like the days of Azusa, but greater.
Oh.
Seymour died September 28th, 1922.
Wow.
100 years is right after the new year, God's new year. So we're about to see a historic spiritual uprising, an Azusa Street revival that's multiple times of what Azusa was. Right after the Azusa Street revival, it was like a week later, there's a 7.9 earthquake in San Francisco, one of the largest earthquakes that's ever hit the U.S.
Wow. And God's been talking about earthquakes. He's been talking about tsunamis. He's been talking about hurricanes. He's been talking about all these different things. And I'm telling you that Azusa Street was very powerful. And that goes along with Haggai chapter 2, when it says the latter rain is greater than the former. So all I know is what the Lord has been telling me about this year. He said the greater exodus is going to happen in the year 2022.
The point being is what's coming is not a crash. This will not be a crash. It will be a collapse. A collapse, the difference is a crash might be a 10% crash in something, the price, maybe 15 or 5% or 20, but when a collapse happens, it's a free fall. It's a loss of control. When God intervenes, the markets will collapse. And so it's going to be something that is beyond anybody's control. And all he needs is, how long? Read the Bible. He needs 24 hours. It's all he needs. Okay? And so we're setting up for September 24th. Now, has anything happened on September 24th? I do not know. Every miracle that's taken place in the Bible, every miracle takes place when it seems all hope is lost.
Yep.
Think about the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, okay? All hope was lost, and then Christ showed up, the miracle. The last day of Leviticus cycle is September 24th. This is the prophetic word of Haggai 2, and Haggai 2 specifically states it's blessing for a defiled people. Thus saith the Lord, consider from this day onward, the 24th day of the 9th month. But from this day forward, I will bless you.
Mm-hmm.
It begins. Starting late Friday, September 23rd, the British pound went down historically into the weekend of September 24, 25. This drop starts the collapse of the fiat, debt-based money system that we know. All countries will soon begin to sell their U.S. treasuries, to defend their own currency, which will result in a collapse of the US dollar, Goliath. And today, September 28th, the Bank of England intervenes in its own bond market after the historic sell-off this past weekend. And so we're about to see the fire of God. When the fire shows up, it's going to destroy the two things, faith and confidence in the system. They lose control. And everything you know is going to flip, just like when Christ walked into the temple and did what to the money changers? He flipped the tables on who? The money changers. Why? Because the only time Jesus was ever extremely upset, righteous anger. Why was he so upset with righteous anger? Because he knew that the money changers were the root of all evil.
Yep.
So we're down to this last moment in time. It's the last event that's on stage now, and the grand finale. And no one knows like we talked about two things: the exact day and the hour this is going to go down. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some dates, but these are just biblical dates that are powerful dates. But again, it may not happen on that date because no one knows the exact day or the hour. Okay, but we're at kill shot time now. This is it. Okay, and the second thing is no one knows specifically the event or the events, because God's kept it hidden in the mystery intentionally. So the evil ones here that that are fighting, that are doing all this, will have zero counter. They will have no counter to what's about to happen.
The crashing of the markets will happen, and it will happen quickly and rapidly as I create the circumstances. There is no reason that you could not know the exact day, except for the sheer fact that I will be the one to use all situations and circumstances to shake their faith and confidence, and I am keeping it in a mystery. They will not know what hit them, just like when the flood came.